Hello. All right, this is Mr. Larson. If you are watching this, obviously you have the test in front of you. I'm making this video especially for you. It's going to be a little different. So this is because you have the more modified test, which you should have gotten from the teacher, and it should have, or excuse me, the substitute, because I'm not here on Monday. Obviously, you know that by now. But it'll tell you what you need to solve. And we're going to go through the questions, and I'll give you some very helpful tips, even really work through some of the problems, not all the way, because I'm not going to give you the answers on the test, but set you up pretty nicely. So I'll kind of know if you've really been watching this all the way through or not, based on how much of the test you've gotten done, or really how you have done on it, because we're going to really kind of give you some helpful hints. You should have attached to your test a multiplication chart as well. So you're not going to be using a calculator on this test, but you do have that, which is going to be more than what you'll need. It's going to be just as good as the calculator. So let's go ahead and get started. Just know that as I'm explaining these things on the video, I'm just going from question to question. So if I start to talk about question 2 and you haven't done question 1 yet, pause the video, do those problems on question 1 you need to, or whatever it is you're on, and then hit play again. You can rewind the video as much as you need and replay it to help you out. So let's go ahead. Question 1. You are picking 2 of these 4 to solve. Now we have adding and subtracting of fractions. You can see A and B are both adding, while C and D are both subtracting. We also, over here on B and D, have some mixed numbers, which means it has a whole number and it has the fraction with it. So with that, you would separate the whole numbers and separate the fractions. So you may decide to just do these over here with simply just the fractions, or you may want to challenge yourself and do these over here that also have a whole number, which really isn't much different. You just do what you need to do on the fractions, and then you just add the whole number in front of your answer. But let's go ahead, and I'm going to go look at question A. So 1/5 plus 1/3. Now, you need to know that we cannot add or subtract without first getting a common denominator, which means our bottom numbers need to be the same. So I cannot simply just add my top numbers, and I never add or subtract my bottom numbers. So you definitely should not be doing that. We can't do any adding until these 2 on the bottom are the same. So what do? Well, one of the things we've been talking about in class and learning is the bow tie method. Now the bow tie method kind of looks a little bit like this up here, and it might look familiar. And this involves multiplication. All of this is multiplication. Okay, that's a big clue for you. So over here, we're going to go across like this, right? And we're going to be multiplying, not adding here. We don't do any adding until the end. And then we're going to go across this way. Again, multiplying. So I really want you to focus in on this process of going across like that, using your multiplication chart if you need it to help you with those multiplication, so you don't get stuck on that. And then the bottom part is again multiplying, but we multiply these bottom numbers. So when you do that, you're going to have an answer up here when you go across, an answer up here when you go across, and then you're going to have an answer down here from when you multiply these two, right? So those three answers. Now it's only the top ones, only these top answers that you add. If it's a subtraction problem, we would subtract those two. Okay, you would still do this whole multiplication stuff, but you would subtract it if it was a subtraction problem. So that's going to give you the top part of your answer. Where does the bottom part of your answer come from? Well, that's when we multiply these two on the bottom. And you get that little answer there. You just plug it in on the bottom. So your top numerator and your denominator, that is how you find that. So I set you up really good on this one. I would highly recommend maybe doing A as one of the two you do, and then choosing one of the other ones to solve. So go ahead, pause the video, work on those. If you need to, rewind it. Watch this again. Okay. All right, if you're back with us now, you should be done with question 1, picking 2, and you're going to be picking 2 now again for question 2. Very, very similar. In fact, I should just say it's the same thing basically that you are doing here. Yes, the directions look a little different. It talks about making common denominators, but remember, that's what we had to do up here too. You're adding and you're subtracting fractions. Same thing as you did up here. So you're going to pick any two of these, and again, setting them up. Okay, use scratch paper. There's not a lot of room on this paper. Their front and back is taken up, so use scratch paper. All right, do yourself that favor. Help yourself out the best way you can. Give yourself space to work your problem out. So use scratch paper, please. And again, just to remind you of our bow tie method. You're going to go across, and this again is for any adding or subtracting. It doesn't matter. You go across the other way, right? And you get your answers. And then you multiply these bottom ones and get your answer. Now, it does matter adding or subtracting when you finally have these two top numbers. Okay, whatever you got here and whatever you got here, you will add. Or, if this is a subtraction problem like C or D, it's a subtraction, so you would subtract those. So you just check your sign. Whatever your sign says is what you do to those top numbers. And the bottom one, that's just a freebie. You know, that just gets plugged in on the bottom of your answer, while the answer for that one gets plugged in up top to make your fraction. So you're going to pick 2 on this number 2, A, B, C, or D, any 2 of them, solve them, take your time. If you need to, go back, rewatch this, or even go back to the number 1 and rewatch that as well, because it's just teaching you the same thing, because number 2 is the same thing as number 1. All right, so pause it, and I'll see you for the next questions. Alrighty, so you should be done with 1 and 2, and now we are on to 3 and 4. And it so shows you that you can skip B. So you're just doing 3 and you're just doing 4. Now, for these two, you are multiplying a fraction by a whole number. So to do that, we're going to set our problem up. We're going to write 1/3, and we're going to change this into a fraction by putting a line over it. So that whole number is on the bottom. Now, we can't put anything on the top yet. We don't know what goes there yet. That's what you have to figure out. You know, that's what your answer is whatever that number is that goes up top. And down here on number 4, it's the same thing. You're going to set your problem up. putting your whole number, because they're wanting to know what's 2/3 of 27. All right, and we just don't know this yet. Just like up here, we don't know that top number yet. How do we figure it out? Is you have to find that magic number to multiply by. What do they multiply by here? What do they multiply down here? Okay, so again, using your multiplication chart, you should be able to figure that one out. Now, whenever you know this number, you're going to take that number and you're going to do the same thing up top. Okay, remember these two numbers though have to be the same. They have to be the same. And that would give you your answer whenever you figure that number out and you can multiply it up top. Same thing down here. Whenever you figure that number out, you're going to go ahead and do that same thing up top. And then you'll get your answer. And remember, just give me that number as your answer. Don't write this whole fraction down as your answer. Just take that one number and write it out here. Same thing, just take that one number when you find it and just write it out here as your answer. So go ahead and pause, do 3 and 4. All right, so you're back with me now. Question 5, you guys should see that you are skipping that. So we're going to move on. Question 6, you're solving both of these. Now for these, you want to set up a table, because what we're doing is we're comparing two different kind of sales. They are selling 12 cans for $7. Or they're selling 6 cans for $4. So the whole question is which one is a better deal? So when you're done answering it and you give me your final answer, you're going to tell me which one of these is the better deal. You'll either write this or you'll write this. And the same thing for question B. You end up with two different deals, and when you give me your final answer, you're just rewriting whichever one of these is the better deal. Now don't guess, okay? It doesn't say guess up here in the directions. It says explain using words, numbers, or sketches. We're going to use kind of a sketch in numbers because we're going to make a table. Right? Horrible looking table right there, but we'll go with it. So we have cans, right, and money, because it tells you how many cans and how much money those cans cost. So making a table, we're just going to enter the information we know. We know 12 cans is $7. A little money sign there, $7. All right, and we can go ahead and make another table, do a separate table for the other one. We have 6 cans is $4. Okay, so again we have cans and money. So we're comparing these two sales. It's the same type of thing, they just sell them in different amounts. So we want to know what is the better buy. What we're going to do here is we are going to just continue our table. So this would be buying 1 pack of 12. Okay, we'll call it pop. A 12 pack of pop for $7. Well, what if we bought another pack of 12? So 12 plus another 12 would give us 24, because 12 plus 12. Well, if we bought another pack of 12, we would have to pay another $7. So $7 for one plus another $7 would be $14. And we can go ahead and ask ourselves, what would another pack of 12 be? Well, if we bought another pack of 12, you would have to add 12 more cans to this. which would be 36 cans. And if we did that, we would have to pay another $7 because every pack of 12 is 7. So 1 is 7. Another pack would be 7 more, which we figured out as 14. And now we would have to add 7 more to get our price for 36 cans, which is 21. Now I'm just going to stop here. We can go on and on and on forever, but we don't need to. What we're going to do is down here do the same thing. We're dealing with different amounts though, so be careful that you're not adding by the amounts we did up here, because down here it's 6 cans in a pack and $4 each pack. So if we have another 6 cans, think, what would be 6 plus 6? Yeah, we got 12. So if we had one more 6-pack, that would be $4 more. So we would have to add $4 more to this, which would be $8. And now we're going to go ahead and we have to do that again. Add another 6 cans to this. So 12 plus 6 more cans would be 18. And you guessed it, we need to pay another $4. So we had $8 for 12. Buying 4 more, or excuse me, 6 more cans would be $4 more. So add $4 to that. Now I've already kind of went ahead where we need to actually be, because what your goal is between these two tables is watch these numbers up here for the cans. Whenever you get the same number for both tables, you can answer the question. So look at our two tables. Do you see the same number of cans on both tables? You should. You should notice right here, 12 cans, and down here, 12 cans. Right? We don't have 18 up here. We don't have 24, 36 down here. We got 12 and 12. The reason we look at this is because we're buying the same amount at this point, so we can just look and see which one is going to cost us the least amount of money. So is it going to be this table or this table that's the cheaper one? The 12 cans for 7? Or is it this table, which was the 6 cans for 4? So you can compare whichever one is cheaper. You're going to write that in here. Okay? Again, you'll either write 12 for 7 or 6 for 4 as your answer. Now down here you have the same thing going on. So I'm going to clear this out, but again, if you need to rewind that at all to rewatch that to help you solve it, go ahead. But I'm going to move on to B now. So for B, you are going to set your problem up the same way. You have 6 cans for $7. Right. I'm just going to put C for cans and do a little money sign for the money. And you would keep on going with that. And you would have another table. Same thing. Cans and money. And that one is 8 cans for $9. So you're going to keep going with that table too. Well, what if I got another 8 cans? I would have to pay another $9. So add those in. And then keep on going until finally you notice that you have the same number of cans listed for both tables. And then check which price was the cheapest. Alrighty, I'll let you pause it and solve it, and then press play to move on to the last question. Alright, you made it. Your last question. You do not have to do number 8, as you should see on your paper. You're just solving number 7. And number 7, we have 3 mixed numbers here. So Connor, let's read it first, sorry. Connor is gathering dry ingredients to make brownies. So they're going to tell us these ingredients that he uses. He uses 1 1/4 cup of sugar, 2 2/3 cups of flour, and 1 1/6 cups of nuts. So they want to know how many cups of dry ingredients did he mix. Now, by them asking that, they're wanting us to add them up, to add how much of all of this together it equals. So whenever we have mixed numbers, which is the whole number and the fraction, we need to separate those. So off to the side, just list your whole numbers. So we have 2, we have 1, and we have 1 again. So I listed them here, and because this wants us to add up our numbers, we will add it up. 4. Now you are going to go off to the side, and again, maybe it'd be best to use scratch paper, and you are going to write your fractions, right? The 3 fractions that we have. And we're going to go ahead and add 2 of these together. So any 2 that you want, you're going to add together. So maybe I'm going to choose these 2 to start with, to add together. Now at this point, I'm not going to quite go through the whole crossing bow tie method again, but you could certainly rewind it all the way back to towards the beginning on questions 1 and 2 when I talked about the whole bow tie method. And if you need to remind yourself, what do I do? Because that's what you're going to do right here, is you're going to do the bow tie method to get that answer. Then you're not done yet, because we didn't use this other fraction here. So whenever you have that answer, you're going to rewrite it. Okay, pretend that I actually had my answer though here. I'll just use question marks. And you're going to add that to that last fraction that we didn't use yet, the 1/4. Again, you're going to bow tie it. So you're going to go across and go across, remembering what you do when you go across like that. And then you're going to do what you got to do to your bottom numbers to get your answer. Do not forget that you need to put your answers back together. So you have your whole number, and you will finally get your fraction part. So you'll write those right next to each other. 4, and then you'll have whatever your fraction answer is right there. Okay? So again, if you need to go back to questions 1 and 2 when we really explained a little more about those bow tie method, or that bow tie method, do that. Okay? Help yourself out by going back and revisiting that. Otherwise, if you know it, pause the video, go ahead, and find your answer. All right, so you should be done with the test by now. You should have paused it, answered 7, press play, and now you're done because question 8 was crossed off for you. So at this point, as the board says, you're going to turn your paper in, staple your scratch paper, keep your divider up because we want to be respectful to anyone still testing, and you're going to make one of the choices up on the board. I hope that you really took your time on this, double checked your work, use scratch paper, and Wednesday, when we get back together, we will look at your last part of your test. So, thank you.